Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cat's Track. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing with your friends. Today's episode is with my friend, Sarah Lerner. Sarah was born and raised in Calgary, and she loves it here. She's happily married to her husband, Joe, and they're raising 5 amazing kids together. Wow, busy house. Besides Sarah's loved ones, she is most passionate about bringing diverse groups of people together to create resilience and sustainability in communities and organizations. She loved serving on the City of Calgary's financial task force over the past year because it gave an incredible opportunity to do just that. Friends, you'll find her full bio attached. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Catherine.
It's going to be so fun. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Are you ready with the questions that we sent you?
I am, yes.
Awesome. And first one is sometimes the toughest one. What has been the most difficult challenges that you've had in the last few months?
This one is not difficult for me. Being a mom of 5, the biggest challenge I've had has really been prioritizing myself and maintaining my energy levels. I felt tremendous pressure to kind of be everything to everyone in my household, and I found myself at times over the past few months just completely depleted of energy and just not myself really. So that has been the biggest challenge. You're often told to make sure that you fill your cup before so that you have something to give to others. And so over the past few months, I've really focused on doing just that. So I signed up for yoga teacher training.
Oh,
First thing I've done for myself and like just myself in several years. And that has helped me tremendously to be able to manage my energy levels so that I can be the best possible mom and aspiring entrepreneur I can be.
oh, good for you. That's awesome. I absolutely love yoga, and I do it when I'm not swimming, but I know what you mean. I love it.
Yeah, it's been incredible.
Nice. And what
Yeah.
about your 3 things that you'd like to share with us today?
All right. Well, I've been reading a lot over the last few months. So there's definitely been some things that I've read that really resonated with me. And so I've picked out 3 that I wanted to share with the audience and yourself today. So the first one is early on in this lockdown. I was really struggling. Schools had just closed. I didn't know how to explain what was going on in the world to my children. My husband and I were around each other 24 hours a day. And so it was really tough. And I was listening to Brene Brown's podcast, Unlocking Us, and she had Glennon Doyle on, who was talking about her new book called Untamed. And one of the things Glennon said in the interview was, what if we redefined what a good mother is? And instead of defining it as being a martyr, what if we looked at it as being a model for our children? And so that resonated so strongly with me. When I think about and she said as well, like I'm living this life for my children. Like I'm living this way for my children and making choices to create a life for my children. And would I want them to be a martyr in their lives? Would I want them to put everything else in front of them? And the answer to that question was no for me.
Sure.
When I looked at it. And so that was eye-opening for me that I really needed to start focusing on being that model instead of just being, a selfless person who only thinks of others. And that's helped me. That's helped me have the energy. And I've seen real transformation in my children since adopting that mindset as well. So that's my first thing, is kind of redefining what it means to be a mother in particular, from a martyr to a model.
I love it. That gave me goosebumps, by the way.
I needed that when I read that or listened to that podcast and I read her book afterwards. It just came to me at the exact right time. So I wanted to share that with everyone.
Thank you.
So the second thing comes from this book. It's called Drop the Ball by Tiffany Dufu. And it resonated with me. I actually read this book a few years ago, but never really put it into practice until the past 6 months. But once I got comfortable with the idea of being a model instead of a martyr, The next step was really around getting comfortable with where I wanted my life to go. What was the impact I hoped to have on this world? What was like the legacy I wanted to leave for my children? And so in this book, Tiffany suggests that you really need to focus on doing like creating a strategic plan for your life, like actually taking the time and energy to figure out where you want to go in this life. So one of the exercises I did was, it's called the funeral exercise. And basically it involves like imagining you have just passed away and your loved ones in your community have gathered to talk about the impact that you had on the world, that you had on the people that you cared for, and what would you want them to say? What do you want to be remembered for? And so I did that exercise, and then the next part of it is reflecting on whether or not the way you are currently living your life is aligned with the impact that you hope to have on the world. And for me, I hope to have a big impact. I want to make the world a better place for my children. I want to create a sense of community, a sense of giving back. And so when I did that exercise, it really made me look at, am I doing things I should be doing, or am I doing what is actually true for me in my life? And that prompted me to make some changes. One of which is being that, I've decided to take the leap into entrepreneurship full time right now. So that was really helpful for me, just getting clear on the type of life that I want to live.
That's awesome.
Whew. So the third thing, you can tell I love Brene Brown because I'm
her
again.
I do too.
Yeah. But so the third thing for me is really around that I wanted to share is around courage. One of the things that I've learned, and by struggling with this concept over the past few years, is what courage is. And sometimes I feel like we have this idea that it means you're not afraid anymore, that you've worked through any fear that you have about the direction you're going on. And I've learned over the past couple of years that that's not what courage is. It's not a lack of fear. It's feeling fear, but moving through it anyways, because that you're moving more closely with who you are meant to be and the direction you're meant to take your life and the type of person you are meant to be. And so just reflecting on my experience, I've been the breadwinner for our family for since my daughter was born. So she's 7 now. I have the pressure of being that breadwinner, but I also felt, and going through these exercises, just this deep knowing within myself that I wanted to move on to more things, that I wanted to have a bigger impact. And so I've realized that courage is about doing it anyways, taking action, even if you are afraid. And that's been life-changing for me. We look at where we are and we're in the middle of a global pandemic. And I've never felt more hopeful and optimistic about the future of our city, of our country, of, my family, my community. And that's powerful. And that's a result of moving through fear instead of waiting for fear to go away, because I don't think it will go away. I think you have to act anyways, basically.
I love it.
Yeah, so those are my 3 things.
I love it, Sarah. There's a great book that I read many years ago. I don't even know, maybe 30 years ago. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Oh, I should read that.
It's actually, you already know the work, so you've already done it, but it's a great book for anybody who gets stuck in fear. Not that you are, obviously, but I'm really, really pleased that you mentioned this, because it's so important, isn't it? And I think too, taking that energy, the same energy that it takes to feel that fear, but then redirect it into action and do something about it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And what about your legacy or good news story that you'd like to share in closing?
All right. So my legacy story. So I was exposed to this, it's a quote, and I was given this quote by a friend in 2015. I was doing my MBA at the time. I had 3 little kids. I was working full time. Like it was insanity, and it was overwhelming. And so he sent me this quote. He said, "This makes me think of you, Sarah, and it's how we spend our days is in fact how we spend our lives." And so that it continues to resonate with me. Like 5 years later, I still think about this quote on a weekly basis. I think about it every time I find myself scrolling through Facebook or LinkedIn posts for, endless amounts of time. And then I say, is that how I want to live my life? Nope, time to put that away. It also makes you think that, kind of along the lines of that funeral exercise, like if I want to live a life that's full of connection and joy with other people, then I need to connect with other people. I need to find ways to make that a priority. If I want to live a life that's peaceful, if I want to have a sense of peace, then I need to live a life that's filled with gratitude and joy in those day-to-day moments of kindness towards others. If I want to live a life that's filled with happiness, then I need to find ways to find the joy in those little moments, going for walks with my children, going to the playground with my children. Those types of things can be overlooked, but if you choose to find the joy in those little things that happen all the time, then you're going to create a life that is filled with joy and happiness. So the last thing I'll say is really, your life is a culmination of all your days. So when you look back, what do you hope the themes of your life will be? I think that's just such an important exercise for everyone to do, and especially with the world the way it is right now. So thank you so much for having me, Catherine.
Oh, Sarah, so inspirational. I love your words of wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing, and I loved it. I loved every moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone, that was my friend Sarah Lerner. Amazing. And check out her cool new business. You'll see it on her full profile. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining us on Cats Track, and talk to you soon.